When you ask people what they're most passionate about, as I have, sometimes you get a blank stare. People don't really know what they're passionate about. But when you separate people get them away from their phone long enough to answer the question, or break them away from their current environment or just shit, get them on a Zoom call for a minute and start asking them questions, intrusive questions about their life and where they want to go. It's kind of interesting when you get to learn about people. One of the things that drives my passion and the reason I like to do this podcast, the No Comfort Zone, is I like to learn about people, and I love stories about people that took risk. They took risk and they gambled, they bet on themselves, and they won. And they did it with integrity. They did it with a high level of ethics and morality. And I love that when people really do believe in themselves enough to say enough is enough from where they're at, and they're going to add value to this planet. They're going to help other people. And I think it's great. Even more so is people that have had adversity come their way when by all rightful means they should have checked out. Life was too tough. But for some reason, whatever that reason is, they've decided to persevere. They decided to stand up and fight back. I love stories like that. If you have a story like that, and if you've been put on your back and you got up and you fought back and you've learned something about adversity and you know a thing or two, let me know. I would love to have on this show. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a couple of things that are near and dear to my heart, and that's networking and opportunities. And in today's episode, that's what we're going to focus on. I'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
How to create the right connections, networking and opportunities. Success isn't about who you know and who knows. It's about who knows you. Learn how to master networking, position yourself in the right circles, and attract high-level opportunities. This episode covers social skills, personal branding, and leveraging relationship for massive growth. I got to be honest, I don't know a lot about this stuff. I really don't. I'm putting this podcast together. Why am I even doing this podcast? Because I've met some pretty kick-ass people along the way while doing this since 2019. There have been people that have had some challenges along the way and have decided to have a voice and stand up for themselves and others and really put it all on the line to try to make this world a better place or try to get their, voice out. This is a very therapeutic thing for me to do because, again, if you're new to this show or this podcast, if this is the first time you're hearing it, this podcast was just rated top 100 motivational podcast for men. We're number 5 according to FeedSpot. This is as of March. I don't know when we're at. I think we're March 2nd right now. I don't know when this is going to get published out there, but it's in March. So I'm being more consistent with the podcast, as you can probably tell now. But this podcast is all about basically how I screwed up, what I learned from it, and basically the lessons I learned and how it can benefit you, because I created a blueprint basically for me to achieve all my goals in a very short time period. I got tired of the bullshit of blaming everybody and everything for my lot in life. I had a lot of success. I did very well in a specific space in the speaking world, in motivational speaking. Yet I was a fraud. I was addicted. I had a disease I wasn't dealing with. I had labels of depression and bipolar. I had manic episodes that I'm going to say this, that were caused because of my inability to deal with reality. So I let a doctor put a label on me. and then another label and prescribed medication. I didn't continue. I continued to basically abuse substances, which led to addiction, which led to self-esteem, and I was in a failure cycle. And that failure cycle was a tornado and just wrecked so much in my life and the people around me that when I finally came to, it was out of a coma because I just wanted to end my life. And I did. I took as many pills as I possibly could. It was like some 300 pills. And the combination of pills, I talk about it in my book, but the combination of pills, taking one versus the other, if I did it the other way around, I wouldn't be here today. But by the grace of God, I'm here. And I learned something. I learned something that if I don't take any risk, if I just stay below the radar and I work really hard, I'm going to be miserable. And that's exactly what it was. I took no risk. I worked really hard. I was broke. I was miserable. Even though I had people around me that loved me, I was absolutely miserable. Yeah, I was sober, but I wasn't happy, joyous, and free. I was working really hard, but I was broke. I couldn't wait to get home to finish work. I would be like the guy that just couldn't wait to leave work. I was really good at what I did, but I didn't like working. You know, just imagine being in that trap. And that's where I was at for such a long time period. And then now I'm getting super fat. I'm unhealthy, not happy with work. My relationship's great. My wife loves me, but I'm not really being the man to her, so I'm not happy with who I am. I've got a relationship with my son's mother, she's not doing me any favors. She's kind of making my life hell. I got drama from other exes. It's just IRS issues, financial issues, just life's hell after all of the drama. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm not suicidal. I'm not alcoholic, but I'm not happy. What am I going to do? And that's why I created the blueprint, because I'm like, I can't live this way anymore. Why am I the way that I am? Now, after reading pretty much every personal growth book you could possibly read, after reading every sales book I could, management book I could read, and escaping through Netflix, and I got really big one time, you know, I was working out heavily and all that stuff. I took steroids when I shouldn't have been through a doctor, but I was overprescribed. You know, it was legit, but still I was taking steroids from the doctor, and I was taking far greater amounts than I should, and they kept prescribing them to me. It was a fake. I was a fraud. And when I boiled everything down to who I, am, basically what I say, my father's son, I was like, that's the reason why I'm unhappy. I'm so uncomfortable with who I really am. I've got all these walls around me. So what if I just knock down these walls and become aware of who I really am, identify what it is I really want out of life? I'll make the correct decisions now, and I'm going to take massive action. And these reality checks along the way, they're going to be painful, but no matter what, in a 30, 60, 90-day time period, I'm willing to risk it all. And the craziest part about it was really hard. It was mentally, emotionally, and physically brutal. I lost I can't remember, but if we go back to 2019, I think I lost 30 pounds in a really short time period. Financially, I was able to conquer some things business-wise that I was able to. I was able to train salespeople in a very quick time period, financially goals. And then I was able to walk away from my job. I was able to say, screw this, I'm out. I don't like these people anymore with where I'm working at. I don't like what they did to me. I don't like that they pulled all my strings. And part of the reason for my miserableness was I knew what my worth was, and I was letting them do it to me. But I finally had enough. And because I created this blueprint, I became aware of where I was at. I identified where I wanted to go in my life. I decided what I really wanted to do and what I was willing to actually execute. And I took massive action. I looked at the results I wanted out of my life, the purpose for those results, and again, the massive action I was willing to take. And I decided to develop the concept of what's important now or when. I realized I needed certain knowledge in a certain area. What attitude did I have to have? That's when David Goggins was introduced in my life, and I needed to start stealing some souls. And what I mean by that is just, no matter what happens is I've got a chip on my shoulder and I better keep going after it. And I kept getting after it. What skills do I need to develop? What habits do I need to form? And then I had the concept of the 4 E's. What makes me different than everybody else out there to develop unstoppable confidence? And that comes down to the 4 E's: energy, excitement, enthusiasm, engagement. Wrap all of this up from mindset to goal setting to experiential knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits to the 4 E's, then tying that into the success and failure cycle that I learned from Tony Robbins, what's working, what's not, gap analysis. And then I started to realize that I've got a blueprint here that I could, however level of intensity I want to turn it up in the no comfort zone, if I gauge it up and want to get really crazy, I'm going to have success faster. If I want to tone it down a little bit and not be so crazy, I could be livable and my people around me will be okay. So I can just gauge it, and by adjusting that, my business, when I did this for my business, we got results right away. And a lot of people had hard times with it. So I had to kind of tone it down a little bit. When it came to my health and fitness, when I toned it way up, man, I started to lose weight right away. I don't know if it was that sustainable, but for a 30-day time period, I was willing to do whatever it took to get healthy again. So why I'm saying this about the networking and opportunities and how to create the right connections, I had to be that right person at that right time to invite the other people around me, because you're not going to do this alone. Because of that version of myself was able to align me with other people who became aware of my results from previous stuff, my results in my professional career, but it was able to put me on the map to say, okay, here's a guy who's done this. And I was able to talk about the no comfort zone. And it gave me a new audience to attract different people. And those other people, bear with me here, those other people that I'm now in alignment with, had I not gone through this, they wouldn't have been attractive to me, and I would not have been attractive to them. They are on a different level. They're on a higher level than I was. I had to become a new version of myself to attract them. And if I was my same old self, I wouldn't have been interested in them, if you know what I mean. I had to evolve to their level, and I had to see the value in them. I wouldn't have seen it then. So, and now I think it's very important to understand that, is because you have to be a better version of yourself to become a better version of yourself, if that makes sense. And the No Comfort Zone Blueprint does just that, and it's done it for a lot of other people. And that's the best part about doing this show, is that people let me know is like, yeah, I used to be here, point A, now I'm here, and it's amazing what doors it's opening up. It's a different playing field. You're not playing in the same sandbox anymore. You have different playmates now. Geographically, people are moving to other areas and playing at a different level. It's crazy. There's a guy that I know that, I've talked about him on this podcast before, but the guy picks up, and next thing you know, I see him on social media. The dude's fighting in Thailand and kickboxing because he wanted to do that. Talk about getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, and he was sponsored to do it. It's not like he just I'm going to go fly over there. He was sponsored to go do that, train, and he won in his first ever kickboxing match. How crazy is that? It's just the pathways that you go through when you meet people who are getting out of their comfort zone and living on purpose. It becomes magical, and you could do it too. You could be that person by connecting with people who are truly living their best life, but you have to go through this period. You have to go through the self-awareness. You have to go through identifying what it is that you want. You have to make those decisions. You have to take the action. You have to know what results you want. You have to know the purpose for it. You do have to take massive action, consistent massive action on a continue regular basis. And it's not easy, but it gets easier. The knowledge, the attitude, skills, and habits, the energy, excitement, enthusiasm, engagement, and then the success and failure. That's the whole blueprint right there. I just explained it to you. It's there for you to use. And I hope that makes sense, because by connecting or by doing the right version of you will bring the right people into your life to elevate your life. That's what we're here for. It will help you get to the next level in your life. And in future podcasts, we'll talk about some other stuff that will align with this. But, it's just crazy when you look at where you're at in your life and for what you're going through right now. Ask yourself some questions, write it down. You look at what your hardest part is that you've gone through in your life, whatever that moment is that really hurts you. And if you look at somebody wronged you, or this situation happened and it caused you to do this, what if you took 100% accountability for it? What if that's something that really did, you just owned it and realized that it's nobody else's fault, but it's yours to own? Doesn't it kind of change the narrative and the outcome? Doesn't it empower you more? Doesn't it make you a little bit more powerful? And in doing so, doesn't it make you a better version of yourself when you can have 100% responsibility for all the results in your life, the good and the bad? Remember, success isn't about who you know. Who knows you? Because I know a lot of people. I met a lot of people in traveling. I know a lot of people, and I'm under the radar. And I do know there's a lot of people that do know me too. I think that there's people out there that look at me and they're like, you know what? Dan's really busy. Dan's too busy. Dan's too busy to help me. The only way that I can access Dan is maybe through this. And that's not the case. I'm willing to help anybody that's going through adversity. I'm willing to help anybody, direct you in the right way. My blueprint was designed to help. That blueprint helped me. I've used it to help others. I remember doing I went to in the past, let's see how long, 8 years, I've been asked to speak at some events, like, Chamber of Commerce type stuff. In the US, we do these like business luncheons or morning meetings, and they grab leaders and we get together and we discuss things. And I was asked to do a couple keynotes. And I talk about the blueprint and how to incorporate that into the work environment. And one of the biggest things that I think that helps the most is mindfulness, not necessarily about a business point of view, but the people within the business and what they might be going through. The hard part that I have is everybody has to know their role. Everybody has to know what their role is within the organization. Everybody has to know what their role is within the household. And if everybody knows what the role is, it's really important, if everybody knows their role and what they're tasked to do and what their outcome is supposed to be, that everyone can begin to work together. And then if you know what somebody's role is, you can help them along the way, with permission. You can encourage them along the way. I think it's important that, and one of the biggest things I got from doing those, learning about those organizations is communication. If you can just sit and talk for a minute and realize that there is no blame. You're all doing this as a team. But all too often, people want to put the finger. The reason I'm not successful is because of that person. The reason why we're not doing this is because of this. And I've done that. And I had to create this blueprint to realize and identify that, hey, listen, if I truly want an extraordinary life, and if I truly want to have a life that's going to be magical, and I'm going to enjoy my work, and I'm going to enjoy my family, and I'm going to enjoy all the benefits of being sober, and I'm going to enjoy an increased net worth and net wealth, I'm going to have some disciplines in place. And I'm also going to really, truly have to be around the right people and create the right connections, because I don't know, and I'm going to have to learn how they behave. So going to really good businesses and learning what they do, taking that information, sharing what I know, but getting what they know. Also, looking at really good families. How do they behave? What do they do? Putting that information into the blueprint and then doing another assessment, becoming aware of where I'm at, then reevaluating, identifying, now that I know this information, what can I identify that I want out of my life? What am I willing to change? What am I willing to do? What am I willing to decide that I'm going to change about myself? What activities am I going to do differently now? What do I need to reevaluate? Where do I need to spend more time? What do I need to give up doing? This thing evolves. It's a living, breathing thing that can be magical, but you're going to have to take a few minutes and moments out of your day to reevaluate and just realize, do you have balance in life? The key here is going to be proactive, because really networking and opportunities and how to create those connections. If you're looking to attract high-level opportunities, you're truly going to have to start living by example. And that's where the branding comes in. You're going to have to use leveraging those relationships, because the person that you need to be is the person that's going to have to serve others. And that's where the branding comes in. I saved the best for last. Do things for other people without getting caught. Do greatness for other people and don't get caught, and don't brag about it. Try not to complain. That's a very hard thing to do. But be good to other people with your best intentions in heart. Try to help as many people as you can. without getting the acknowledgement. Do that often. Do it frequently. Make that a part of your proactive day. How are you going to impact positively the people around you and see what happens? I look forward to talking to you on the next podcast. We're going to be talking about self-discipline and growth. I look forward to seeing you on that next episode. That's going to be an exciting one. But until then, my hope is that you get out of your comfort zone and you live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.